Beautiful tribe, I hope you're having a great day today. This is a quick prediction update for you today around Earth and weather activity, major flooding, and predictions once again flowing into fruition, including the rescue of little ones in California. I'm going to tell you all about that today. But let us start with the massive 7.3 earthquake that hit Alaska, sending tsunami alert sirens roaring across Alaskan coastlines. Thankfully, they didn't receive any tsunamis, but friends, we all know intuitively that tsunamis are coming to multiple coastlines in the not far off future. So first, let us take a look at the earthquake map and what's going on with the USGS. And the last one to be hit, and I'm recording this, it's 2 p.m. here in Sedona, Arizona on July 17th, Thursday. 5.1 just hit down near Chile. Lots of activity down there near that area right there. But what I really want to take you to is down the list here. So look, we have 119 earthquakes that are 4.5 or higher just in the past 7 days. That's high, friends. Usually it's down around 70, 80 is normal. So there's definitely an uptick in earthquakes, just like Spirit told us. Now, scanning down here, we're looking for the red because red's always the big shakers. And the red was the 7.3 that hit this area of Alaska. An area of Alaska that if we go back to one of my past weather prediction videos where we did map scrying, I pointed to this area of islands right here, where I also believe that there's volcanic activity, I would imagine, right there. Again, I'm not a geography or a geologist or whatever you would call it, volcano expert. I'm not one of them, but I would feel that there'd be some kind of blast of volcano happening in this area in the near future. And there's definitely going to be something big hitting Alaska as far as volcanic eruptions are concerned. Now look, since that earthquake happened, we got a 5.4 following it, 5.2, 4.5, 4.9. Oh, that was Vancouver. Actually, wait, go back. Where's that at? Oh, that's not Vancouver, my bad. But Vancouver Islands is another place that we will be warning today. Alaska again. I mean, look, straight up the map, friends. And then now it got a little quiet. 5.1 in the Tonga. The Tonga's always getting earthquakes out there. The Loyalty Islands also. But that was another area of the globe that we warned, right over there near our friends in Australia. I warned mainly in this area up here, actually, which we don't see anything happening right there. But that's the area I pointed to, this whole area, and seeing something really big igniting in that area. And as you can see, there's some activity all happening right in that area right now. The Tonga, the Loyalty Islands, and then our friends over there in Japan getting another 4.8. Japan has just literally been getting pounded, mainly in this area over here, with reportedly thousands of earthquakes. Now, if we actually really look in comparison to the earthquake that happened up here, right there, that's Alaska. I mean, it's all along this line. Just makes sense that this is just going to keep igniting all along. But I'm more concerned out here in the Pacific, as I have been for quite some time. The area that I pointed to multiple times that I felt was right in here, this whole little circle right there. That's the area where I felt an underwater blast would occur. When? I don't know. I do believe it will happen this year. Big old blast. And in turn, that would send waves in multiple directions, hitting the Philippines, even hitting China over here. So lots going on here, friends. Lots going on here. Shrink that map down a little bit. Another area that I am pulled to strongly is over here in the Vancouver. Now, last year, I talked about seeing visions of some major activity around Vancouver Island and Vancouver and Seattle. And then there was that whole big swarm and tsunami warnings that happened at some point last year. I forget when it was. Well, I got that same vibe today when I was gazing at the map. that we're going to see some major activity up here in this little corner of the west coast of Canada and United States. Another area that I pointed to going back to a weather video is this whole little peninsula here, this area of Mexico and right below San Diego, California. I feel like the whole west coast is just about to shake all the way along it. Not just California, but I mean just all the way down, even into Mexico and Mexico City. Mexico City, I get a strong feeling. Mexico City's got a lot going on energetically. And that, of course, when things are going on a lot energetically, it affects everything, whether it be weather, the people, what have you. So I see a lot going on down there in that area. And then other than that, scanning back down, that was the only one in the red in the past 7 days, which is good. Now, if we were to switch this over, wrong one, to... say the past 30 days, 4.5 or higher. It's thinking. We got 569 earthquakes. And again, that last one was Alaska. What was the one before that? I know there's another one in the red here somewhere. Right? Oh, Indonesia. That's right. Indonesia. Very vulnerable area. Very extremely vulnerable area, as we know. And that's where we just saw the major blast of volcanic activity. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but I just saw a thing earlier today about up here in Iceland, that Iceland has what's referred to as a rift eruption, which is basically an eruption coming out of the crack of the earth, which makes sense to something I said in the past vision, just recent past vision, that I saw the earth cracking and lava coming out of the earth, not out of a volcano. That's very aligned with what I just saw today about Iceland. What do we got up here? That's 5.8 over there in Greenland. But this whole area up here, I feel like something big's coming up here. Likely in between these two. And look at how much of that ice and snow is melted there. That's kind of crazy, huh? But that's what we have going on in the world of earthquakes, friends. And this is just the starting up of the pot. And a lot of times we end up getting these big earthquakes that happen as we are coming out of the energy shift. The energy shift that we're in now and for the next few weeks. So we'll see even earthquake activity upticking when we step into August as well. Why is this not adjusting for me? 7 days. It's not adjusting. But there you have it, friends. There we have it. What's going on. Chile was the last one to get something big. Well, not really big, but a 5.1, which is pretty usual for down there anyway. And more Indonesia activity. There's going to be another volcanic blow that's going to happen in Indonesia within the next week, I believe. Feel that pretty strongly. And then also pay attention to the volcanoes in Japan, says Spirits. Pay attention to the volcanoes in Japan as a symbol. And remember what Spirit told us about 3 volcanoes all erupting, kind of in a line or a pattern. So I expect one of them to be over here in Alaska. The other one would make sense to Indonesia. And then the third one was going to be underwater, according to Spirit. And they would line up almost in a line. So that would make sense with what's happening right now in Alaska, what's happening with the recent volcanic activity in Indonesia, that something's going to break right here in the Pacific Ocean in the very, very near future. Right there in that spot, friends, where I've been pointing to for 2 years, actually, at least, I believe. So definitely in a time of major upticks in earthquake activity. So again, friends, the warning, of course, remains for our friends in Japan for a massive 7.8 or higher earthquake, accompanied by, tsunamis hitting multiple coastlines. A warning also is going to go into effect for the area of the Vancouver Islands Southern California near San Diego. And I also feel like something is hitting pretty close to Mexico City. Afghanistan's another one that's been coming to my mind lately, along with Turkey. So I kind of feel like there's something in between both, Afghanistan and Turkey. Some type of earthquake event, maybe in between both countries or maybe hitting both the countries at the same time. We'll have to see. And I also feel like right here in the United States, we're going to see this unusual earthquake activity, small earthquakes, but not here, I'm on the West Coast, but the East Coast of the United States, say around New York, New Jersey. Well, I also feel like something a little larger is going to hit right near the Mississippi River and Mississippi State. Remember, friends, tomorrow we step into the direct Mercury Retrograde in the sign of Leo. And we're already in the pre-shadow. But tomorrow we really step deeply into it. While, we have this rising energy when it comes to water and such. And we're also in the energy shift. We've been riding our own energy tsunami wave for at least the past week. Have you not noticed, friends? Have you not noticed the cray-cray coming out in some folks? Friends, emotions are running rampant right now. So my advice is do not plug into them, and certainly do not plug into people's drama. Just stay away from their drama BS. Unplug. I am unplugging from your energy. Stay on the down low, friends, because we're going to be riding this tsunami wave of energy for the next few weeks. So, ride it like a pro surfer. Big events always occur during these energy shifts. And even as we come out of these energy shifts, so I would say mid-August should prove to be a pretty intense period. We'll say from the 10th to maybe the 20th, that window of time should be pretty intense energetically, especially with earth events, earthquakes, and what have you. Really intense periods. This also makes, it affects the weather, of course. It always does as we're coming out of these energy shifts. And if you haven't noticed already, friends, Mother Earth herself, she's very restless, as she shall be. Very restless. And I told you, if you go back to Tuesday's show, that I expect more major earthquakes in the coming days or by the weekend. And lo and behold, 7.3 hit Alaska, a place that I warned and pointed to in past prediction videos. So there's still more to come for Alaska and that entire upper region of Alaska where that quake hit. And I feel like there's some type of major volcanic activity that's about to take off across the globe, not just Alaska, but Alaska being one that will soon experience some pretty large eruptions, perhaps very close to where those Quakes epicenters were. I mean, that would make sense, I would believe. Now, moving on to some serious flooding, friends, serious floodings. And one of my past visions just came into reality, actually, at least for the folks down there in New York City, as major flooding hit New York City, New Jersey too. My friends in New Jersey, northern Jersey got flooded pretty good. But New York City, and my vision of seeing water flowing into the subway systems of New York City, friends, that's now a reality. That is a big reality. And I must say, Mother Nature is not done with you folks there in New York City, northern New Jersey, and even my friends back home in the Philadelphia area. Lots more to come. And there's currently more flooding in Texas, too, if you weren't aware, right along the border of Texas and Tennessee. As Spirit told us, Texas is a targeted state for whatever reason, I don't know. But Spirit said targeted state. And since then, look at all the things that have happened to the folks in Texas. And that was over a year or two ago that Spirit told us it was targeted state. So there's going to be more major flooding that's going to hit Texas, including a huge hit from a hurricane. And I believe that'll hit sometime in late August. Now, our friends in Louisiana, yeah, they're about to endure some major flooding. An area that I pointed to on the map in past prediction video was Louisiana. The Gulf is totally heating up, friends, to record highs. And according to my spirit guides anyway, which in turn is going to feed storms, increasing their intensity. Louisiana is obviously about to be hit, according to the weather. But I feel that what they're about to be hit by, it's going to be quite mild in comparison to what they're going to see in the future. And that's alongside with friends in Kentucky and in Georgia in the coming months. I also see visions of the streets and saw visions of the streets of the French Quarter in Louisiana completely flooded. The streets look like little rivers. So this reminds me kind of a little bit like Katrina, because I mean, the French Quarter was flooded during Katrina, of course, everything was. Now, if you're in a flash flood kind of region, friends, you might want to get yourself a little blow-up raft just in case and have that nearby, just in case. Now, Indiana, I don't know why, but Indiana, that's a state you don't really hear about very often, but Indiana jumped out at me really strong today. So Indiana, when it comes to what I feel major flood and major flooding issues, hitting the areas of Indiana. So friends in Indiana, beware. Now, as I stated back in my July forecast, water is going to be a major influence in the transits and the energies that are flowing through now through the month of September. So no matter where one may be on this planet, expect that you too could potentially, very strong potentially, be in an area that very well could be flooded. And if not flooded, have some type of issues revolved around water. Even if you've never been flooded before. And again, it doesn't all have to be just floods. Anything revolved around water. I see problems with flooding along the Mississippi River, especially the lower states along the Mississippi. And I feel that there's some type of water or flooding issues that are going to hit near Niagara Falls, Niagara, New York, and even over into Canada. So I don't know what's going on there, but hey, let's take a quick look at Google Earth. A small little look here at Google Earth instead of the earthquake map. Up there, Vancouver. Okay. So the Gulf, down here in the Gulf, exactly where I feel that Spirit says is warming up greatly, which is going to bring in major storm systems that are going to build up. And what's going to be unusual about this year and this round is that how storms could be right on the edge before they suddenly develop into earthquakes or more larger significant storms, increasing in intensity right before they make land touch land. Now, Louisiana, again, is a place I warned, which is about to get flooded according to reports. But there's much more coming in that way. And I see something coming in right in between here. Likely hurricane related, of course. Big storm coming in this way. Hitting a combination of Alabama, Mississippi, swinging into Tennessee. Tennessee and Kentucky, definitely places to be extremely aware of. And even West Virginia, the whole East Coast in general is going to get battered greatly by storms and such. And that's just the United States. I mean, I know we got watchers all over, and now Google Earth isn't going to be my friend. It does this to me every time. There we go. I see problems in Costa Rica. I see problems with my Google Earth not moving. Costa Rica feels like it's getting battered. So something's coming through here between Costa Rica and Nicaragua. We'll also see some earthquakes right along here too. Nothing too serious, but big flooding there. Our friends down in Brazil saw some massive flooding last year. They're going to see more this year, especially over in these regions right in here. Let me just shrink this down a bit. I wanted to go over to Europe because Europe feels to me that there's a big pounding coming to the area of Europe between, say, France, United Kingdom, those areas. A little higher there. Come on, Google Earth. Why do you always do this to me? You never want to move. All right, let her load. Pakistan. Big earthquake activity in Pakistan. Big earthquake activity. Oh, this thing's just not agreeing with me, friends. I was trying to pull up the UK because I've been pulled to that area a lot lately. where I feel like the UK is going to be dealing with major flooding. We warned Vietnam recently in one of my videos. Yeah, this area of the globe feels very active with earthquake activity in the near future between Pakistan. Interesting times indeed, friends. Interesting times indeed. Hope I'm not making you dizzy with my map. This map's just not agreeing with me. So we'll just give up on the map and say that the UK, I see problems, especially near the rivers, of course, flash flooding. So, friends, it doesn't really matter with all these water energies that are flowing into place at the moment. It just doesn't matter where you are. This is going to not just affect floods. It's going to affect everything, again, water related, from, say, bacteria in the water main lines that burst, accidents on the waters or in the waters. So friends, please be extremely mindful. If you're heading out near the waters, on the waters, you're going in the waters, whether it's a lake, your swimming pool, your hot tub, just be mindful. That's all. Water is a big, big influence. So lastly today, I wanted to do a quick update. Is another prediction that just came into fruition. A positive one here, in my opinion. The rescue, of course, of little ones. Little ones, rescue of anybody is important, but especially the little ones. And it's not yet the one that I saw in my past visions, if you remember. I saw a large underground rescue mission taking place with a whole bunch of folks, in those tunnels caught up in traffic jams, if you know what I mean, including little ones. But I did tell you, besides that underground rescue that I saw in past visions, we're going to see record-breaking amounts of these rings being, brought to justice. It's about freaking time, friends. While freeing, record amounts of those, caught up in those horrors and the horrors that they endure. So this actually just took place. It's a little rescue. And this is kind of creepy, friends, when you think about this. This is pretty creepy. Where'd my article go? California authorities take 21 little ones into custody amid a surrogacy scheme investigation. California authorities are investigating a possible surrogacy scam after 21 little ones were rescued. 15 children taken from the couple's home, as well as an additional 6 children discovered living elsewhere, are now under the care of Child Welfare Agency. The children were between the ages of 2 months old and 13 years old. Friends, this whole story. They lived in a castle. I mean, look at the size of the house that they lived in. It literally looks like a little castle. The children's legal parents are believed to be 38-year-old Sylvia Zhang and 65-year-old Gujan Wan. I probably butchered that. My apologies. Yeah, so we believe that the 1 or 2 were born biologically to the mother, said one of the police officers. There are some surrogates who have come forward and said that they were surrogates for the children. Friends, that is a creepy, creepy thing going on right there. Apparently they were, I believe they were Chinese. Not that that matters. What matters is the little ones that are caught up in that little ring. Yeah, there's going to be more that's going to come out of that case. You watch. There's going to be a lot more that comes out of that case because it's not just those 2. And with all those little ones, come on, 2 dozen almost? That's a lot, friends. That's a lot in that little castle house. I wonder how they were taken care of. Probably not well, because apparently one of the children had a head trauma and they took it to the hospital. And that's where the investigation broke. Thank the Lord for that. So prayers to all those, that we see in the near future, all these little ones and people in general that are caught up in these rings, that they receive the justice and freedom that they deserve. And that's coming, friends. I look forward to seeing the big rescue mission that happens underground and what's going to be revealed from that. And they probably won't even tell us everything that will be revealed from that, because it would probably be worse than your worst horror movie. Terrible things happen. I talked about that in one of my, I believe, recent channeled prediction videos. Remember, there's always video recommendations that pop up above or down below in the description. I'm going to leave you with that, but I want to just take a moment to thank all the supporters of this channel that make this free content possible for everybody else. I am very grateful for you. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. Down below in the description, you can find all the information, my website, everything's down below in the description, including the free newsletter. And remember, catch me Tuesday. We'll talk in depth about all these things that are happening, because I have no doubt there's a lot more to happen in coming days. And by the time we get to Monday, and earthquake, Mother Earth ain't done. There's another big one coming within the next week. So between now and this time next week and a week from now, I believe we fall into the new moon energy. Another time when the activity in the tectonic plates start to heat up a bit. So we are definitely in interesting times, friends. Beyond interesting. So I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Remember to unplug from the energies. Unplug from anybody. Ground your energy. Get outside. Connect with nature. And do things that bring you joy and happiness. And avoid those that do the opposite of that. As long as you follow those little things. Remember, Mercury Retrograde starts tomorrow. So do not start new things. Do not sign papers or contracts if you can avoid it. It's a great time to finish things that you started that you didn't get done, but don't start something completely new. It won't end up working out. Don't buy things that are electronic, motorized, or anything that you have to put together, because it'll end up being a nightmare. Follow those rules and expect delays when you're traveling. As long as you expect it, and if there are no delays, then celebrate, hallelujah. But these are the important steps to take during Mercury retrograde and the miscommunications that happen. People argue more. They misinterpret what you say, or they just like to pick at you and start arguments. I see that around here. People just like to pick because I guess their lives are so boring, and take it as a compliment that you must be much more exciting than they are, right? Much more exciting than they are. These are the things you need to be aware of. And of course, outages. Major outages, whether it's outages of your electricity, your cell phone goes out, maybe your television network goes down. This is the time where it's going to get really intense starting tomorrow and throughout the weekend. So just flow through it with ease and joy, friends. Flow through it with ease and joy. And until the next time, friends, remember to be bold, be true, be kind, be you. Let your light shine ever so brightly, and have a beautiful rest of your day and an amazing weekend. Namaste, friends, and much love. Much love.